We're here with Dan Harker from Dallas, Texas. Hi, Dan.
How are you?
Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's start by telling us a little about yourself.
Joined my mom's business back in 1994. She started the team in 1968, and over the years, my dad and my brother came onto the team, and eventually I came on, and then my sister just came on about 4 years ago. And
now, what did you do before this?
I was in radio advertising, and it was when I never wanted to be in real estate. I'd been around it my entire life, and to me it just seemed to be an absolute bore. And it wasn't until my wife and I bought our first house, and my dad was helping us out find the house, and after I saw the whole process, I thought, I said, is it this easy? And that's how much you make?
Oh, man.
And at that point, it triggered a thought in my brain and about just taking it in. And in the radio business, I'd been on 100% commission. And when I was there, before I'd been in salaried positions, and when I went to the 100% commission in the radio, once I figured out I could sell, I felt more comfortable that, okay, I don't have to be in a corporate environment. I got tired of working for people.
Right.
And my mom's been in this business for a long time.
Sure.
And at the time, she was in, I even hate to say it, but she was probably in her 50s. And I started going, you know what? My window of opportunity is shrinking if I want to go sit and learn under someone like herself. And that was 14 years ago, and she's now celebrating her 40th year in real estate. She hasn't left, and she still loves it. And so, and here I am.
Yeah. So tell us about the nature of your business and the market you're in.
The market, I'll start in the market first. Mom started a long time ago in 1968, not missing virtually any convention, NAR or company convention, and she built a business based on agent referrals. And a big portion of our business is agent referral driven business.
Now, let's stop for a second. How do you do that? Give us the 1, 2, 3 step on how you do that.
I've learned under her, and it comes from her.
Sure,
when we go to a convention, we go to learn and to listen, but we actively go out to go find agents who are in other markets that send a lot of families to our area, and so we try to meet all the agents. We're not trying to hand out our business card; we're trying to get their business card, so that we can put them in a database and start dripping on them and trying to be their agent of choice in the Dallas area.
So you're there to get business cards.
We're there to get business. Our goal is when we come back from a convention that we'll have a few referrals that'll pay for that convention. And so that's been built since 1968 when Mom got into business.
Right.
And even to this day, to me, Mega Agent Camp, Mastermind, Family Reunion, NAR, it's a must. Because it also recalibrates us, refocuses us where we need to be.
Sure.
And so that's how that relo business has been built specifically. It's just built upon
But you didn't grab just anybody's business card, did you? Or did you?
No. We focused on the people that we knew did a lot of business and worked with a lot of relo.
Okay, so one, you were looking for agents who did a certain volume or a lot of business because they would be more likely to have leads.
And you know who we ended up being attracted to? To those people who are givers and sharers.
Okay.
In their market. They were actively trying to network, but they were actively sharing their ideas and how they did business. And then we did the same with them, and we ended up just building it's all built on relationships. It wasn't just, I want your card so I can just start mass mailing you. It was more, we've got great relationships around this country. I feel like if I go to any city, and we just had a gentleman who just came from Arkansas. I just can't believe I just flashed on his name. He called me up. He just started a market center there, but he called me up about 3 years ago. He goes, Dan, it's 11 o'clock at night. They just canceled my flight. I'm on my way to Little Rock, and can I come stay at your house? And that was based on a relationship of building referrals, and that's how it was basically generated over the years.
You said, no, you haven't sent me a referral in a month.
No, he did. He sent a few.
All right, so that's not complicated. So then here's just an offhand question. Why do you think people don't do it? Because my observation is they think that you build referrals by giving out business cards. They think this is right. They're putting them out everywhere. They put them on the seats at meetings. First thing I do is take that card and trash it. Yeah.
Well, About probably it's probably been 8 or 9 years ago, I went to go show a house, and an agent was there who happened to farm this area, and I knew her. Great agent, really had a good reputation for the area, and she was with a different company. I just kind of started picking her brain. I said, "So, where do you get all these great ideas?" And she goes, "I've just been doing the same thing over and over again." And after talking to her, I realized that she was pretty much in this box. And I said, "Well, so how do you go learn more things?" She goes, "Well, our company will put something on every once in a while." I said, "You go to guys like Howard Britton or whoever your company is that you're following. I mean, do you go to anybody outside your company?" She goes, "You know what? I went and heard." The comment she says, "I went and heard Howard in 1988, and I learned everything I needed to learn in the business." And this was in 1998, and I thought, there's a few more things that have happened since then. But it was all based on just one idea builds upon the other. I mean, just as we've sat here this morning,
right?
I'm saying, I still don't know enough about this business,
right?
And I still got to go learn more.
Interesting, isn't it? So, in addition to relocation business, any other methods that you use to build your business?
Well, when I first came in this business, my dad had told my brother and I that we couldn't ride on my mom's and his coattails, and we needed to go out and go generate our own business. And so my business, the bulk of my business comes from people that I socialize with. And at the same time, a gentleman by the name of Tom Randall shared an idea, and he said, "Why don't you go farm?" And I go, "I don't want to farm because I feel like every time I walk out my front door, I'm going to have a suit and tie on. I'm going to have to be shaking hands all the time." He said, "Dan, if you sell at least one house a day or a month, let's just say just a month in your neighborhood, you're actually living there for free." And so at that point, we added the farms. We have roughly about 2,500 homes that we market on a regular basis, and we didn't want to just put all our eggs in that basket. We do obviously have the relocation, but I would say between that and the relocation, and then keeping in touch with all our past sphere of influence.
Well, let's go through that. So how do you farm 2,500 or so houses?
I'm cheap, and I was looking at going out and farming and creating my own newsletter because I saw another agent had done it, and after running the costs, it just seemed like it took a lot of time and it took a lot of money. And I went to neighborhoods that had homeowner associations that had their own newsletter already. What I have found over the years that if an agent did go in and invest to be the agent of choice in that newsletter, they only stick with it maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 months, and then they go away. Mm-hmm. And usually when you go to farm a neighborhood, when you go in there, it takes a good, it's a commitment. And so we've always had the idea we're going to be committed for a year, and it's always worked. We just recently added a farm of 1,400. And we just started marketing and advertising, and now we're probably getting 4 or 5 leads off it a month, and they're listing leads. But we'll provide.
So you're advertising in the Community Homeowners Association newsletter.
The Homeowner Association newsletter, and we started something that kind of started as a silly idea. I put in there, turn in this coupon for a dozen donuts at such and such donut store. All I was trying to do is get them to come get something free off my newsletter, where it just started introducing to it. And now we've given close to 10,000 dozen donuts away over the past 10 years. And as silly as that sounds, people will come up all the time and are always asking, "Can we get a coupon?" That wasn't the whole idea. It was just trying to get them to newsletters start coming to us. But Pareto's Law, it works in donut coupons. Only 20% turn in donut coupons. And so it really works out. I was fearful that everybody was going to turn in for that $3.50, and it was going to cost a lot of money, but it's paid for itself over the years.
Anything else you do other than that kind of marketing in the newsletter?
No, I mean, we don't add anything else. I've actually now scaled that back because they've gotten used to coming to that section to look at that information. We've now added on the market snapshot, if you're familiar with that, and the top producer, where they come in and sign up. But when they sign up, it's connected to our top producer. So we're picking up these leads, and now they're calling and saying, "Hey, we just saw this, and we saw this information. Can you come explain a little bit more about this to us?" With everything that's going on with Shift, obviously we've had to, with the market shifting, we've had to go out and not only refine the areas where we're in, but you're asking where else in the business. I mean, most of our business, a lot of our business now is coming, we're getting back in touch again. Yeah, I had a huge aha this last, a year ago now. I got a phone call. We sent a postcard out to all our clients and said, hey, the Harker team's going green, and we'd like to start doing this on an email. Saves postcards, saves paper. We'd like, if you would like to be added to this, send us your email address, and we'll get you loaded on here. And we put an incentive to give away a TV for everybody that came in. Someone win the TV. I got a letter in the mail from a gentleman. I got an email. He emailed back. He said, Dan, you helped me and my wife buy a house back in 1998. He said, you have been so faithful in sending these postcards over the entire time, and every once in a while you'll send a handwritten note. But since I've bought the house, you've never called me once. He says, since that point, I've gotten divorced. I've sold that house. I've moved to the lake house where I live on the weekends, and then Monday through Friday, I live in town in a condo where I do my work. He says, you were great with the letters, but you never called. And so I started calling. I sat there and looked at that, and I go, and people had said, Dan, they want to hear from me. They want to hear from me. I'm like,
I agree, by
and it was the biggest aha, and I thought, I have relied so much on mailing that's going to carry my message. Every time I call now, it's almost like a ministry. I don't know how to say it other than that. I got a phone call.
How are you doing?
How you doing?
That's right.
I had a gentleman call me and said, Dan, since I bought my house a year and a half ago, the motorcycle I had? I said, yeah. I said, by the way, are you wearing that helmet anymore? He goes, well, about that. A Hummer ran the light, hit me, knocked me 100 yards. I've lost my leg from the hip on down, and I have to sell my house because I can't get around this house that I bought. And I started looking at it like, all these people have needs, they have hurts, and they just want to know that someone still cares about them. That's right. Friendship.
That's right.
And it's all based on relationships.
That's right. Yeah. The interesting thing, I'm just nodding my head because that I've built my whole career on that. Mm-hmm. On that exact thing. I use mailings and emails and all that, but I've relied mainly upon picking up the phone and calling mm-hmm. people and saying, hi, how are you? What's going on? Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. So are you combining then the farming and the friend database almost in the same methodology now? Is that kind of what you're saying? Or you're just looking at call lists? Or tell me what that ultimately looks like on a daily basis.
Well, when I'm calling, we have the Harker team database. Well, I have all my clients that are mixed in there. I go through my database so far since January when I started getting mm-hmm. coached again by Tony. Mm-hmm. I've gone through my database 3 times as far as phone calls.
Wow.
Now, we're trying to go.
That's good.
We're going through the Harker teams, which is moms, which is 40 years of phone numbers, and trying to get through that. And it's reacquainting ourselves. They've known that Mary had a daughter and son running the team, but we've got to build that relationship.
Sure.
And so every day I come in, I arrive at 7:30 in the morning. I go through I have a quiet time, meditation time, and when 8 o'clock hits, my staff has already put in front of me a list of names, and I go through.
There you go.
I used to say I'm going to do it over a 3-hour time. I don't do time now anymore because things happen during the day that you get bumped. I know that every day I have to talk to 20 people from the past, and it's actual context. And so where I find them, where I'm most efficient, I do get my calls done during that. But if I'm driving to an appointment, it's usually about a 10 to 15 minute drive, and I've got a time limit. I need to be off phone, and I can usually hit about 3 or 4 phone calls during that time. And it's just, Dan, why are you calling? I was just calling to, Gary, I said, how you doing? I just want to call and check in with you, see how the family is. And most of these people we already have a relationship with, and we rarely, we'll talk a little bit about real estate at the end, but it's that bonding time period that we're just catching up. And towards the end, it's like, well, anything that's up, why'd you call us? I was just calling to touch base with you. And if you need anything, anything in general, real estate, or just you need a good vendor, call me. I've got good names for you. And so it's on and off, and then I'll try to send a note to everybody I'll talk to live.
There you go. So what are the biggest challenges you face with those kind of approaches, Dan?
With our market is the number of listings are down. The average sales price is down. if you look at the whole picture of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it's down. But if you look in the areas where we're at, we're still seeing anywhere from a month to 3 years worth of inventory on the market. And it all depends on the price point range we're in.
Sure, of course.
The biggest challenge I'm running into for the goals that we have set for ourselves, I have to, it used to be I could talk to 10 people and I get a lead. Well, to get a qualified lead. Now I'm finding I have to talk to 15 to 20 people to get a good qualified lead. So I got to touch more people now than what we did before.
How do you do that without inventing more hours in a day?
I sat down and I wrote down all my passions, what I enjoy doing. I love karate. I love running. I love spending time helping at the youth department or at church, and so I've been getting involved. Like today, I fly home, and there's a thing called Chaos tonight for all the 7th through 9th graders at our church. I don't go to church to farm, but I go to there to obviously have a closer walk with my God, but at the same time I'm there to help people, and by helping people, they turn around and they trust me. And it's not just through church, but it's through all the different things we touch. So I found that during the workday, I need to be involved in more groups to be able to create more opportunities to create more friendships. And when I have the friendships, it all comes back. Yeah. And you're not using it for that, but it just comes back when if you're helping people, it's like you give out slices, you get back in loaves. Yeah.
Yeah. Now let me ask you a question. Though, are you telling me that that's the methodology you're using to get it to 15 a day?
That is, well, let me back up. I'm calling more into my mom's database because they already know, they already know about the Harker team. I'm trying to expand that, but I'm also trying to expand mine. And that's, for me, whether it's a real estate group that we get together, a networking group, or that's being involved in Indian guides, and I'm trying to be more accessible and be involved in those things to create more opportunities. But I am having to touch into the database.
Sure. That's what I'm saying again. I mean, those kind of activities are awesome, and they work over time, but they're very indirect methods. They're very indirect marketing. Absolutely. You're not asking for business. You're building a relationship that might create a bridge that allows them to feel comfortable talking to you, or allows you to put them in a database where you later call up and do that. But in order to hit very specific goals, you have to have very specific lead generation activities in order to do that. So I'm just asking again, how do you find the time, or what are you doing to ensure that you hit those numbers?
Well, I've got my time marked out in the morning, 3 hours in the morning. Okay. That's the as far as making the phone calls.
That's
now,
the answer.
During the rest of the day, where there's gaps, well, it's like right now. I listen to you a lot, and this is the time of year, when people say, well, gosh, when does that pool of buyers shrink up for our listings? Well, I can tell you the exact day. I can tell you when I go on vacation, and my phone doesn't bother me. It's on about the 19th, 20th of August. They're about the 19th, 20th of September. The locals disappear. Now, the realtors start coming in. School starts up, and they're so involved in getting everything going again.
Totally.
So now, because there's not as many appointments, I have more time to be on the phone to make those calls. There is no excuse why I shouldn't be on the phone making those calls.
So did you expand that to 4 hours, or do you try to find
the other day I was on it all day long. Yeah. And what's great about it, I'll go in and I'll do what I call sprints, where I'll go do it for a couple hours, make calls. And when of the people I've talked to, I've got notes I got to write. I was going back in, shameless plug here for Agent Mountain, and I was plugging on the radio. That's where I heard John Brophy the other day, because I was writing notes, and I'm listening to y'all's interview going on then. And so, I mean...
No, right, I got you.
So,
no, that's it.
You mentioned a little bit ago about the fact that you network with people that's sending people to your market. Where do you find the markets that's sending people to Dallas or Fort Worth?
The majority of the cities that send us reload families is Atlanta, Chicago. We get a ton from Atlanta, and we send a ton to Atlanta.
I think maybe the answer to your question is the chamber.
Okay.
I think the answer is the chamber. If you don't, I mean, again, through his mother, he's got a 40-year history of built up of understanding of that. But I think you can actually go to your chamber and begin a quest of asking, where are companies moving people from? And your chamber will begin to show you and say, here you go.
Well, for example, right now, AT&T is moving a ton of people up from San Antonio to the Dallas area, and so they're kind of a hotbed right now, trying to find. There's a bunch moving up from there.
If you don't have those relationships, you're behind the curve.
You are, but you have, just like what Gary was saying. We're always sending. We send a packet, a 12-pound box, out of stuff to our relocating families. Where we got a lot of that information was from the Chamber of Commerce. Now we've gone and we've taken that, and it's our website. If you go to our website, we use that a lot to help people.
Let me be real. No. I was just going to be real instructive for Andrew's question, and that was, if I'm in the shoes and I'm asking that question innocently with no background whatsoever, then I'm doing a couple of things. One is I'm going to the chamber and I'm saying, where have corporations come from? Where do they move people to? Where are their multiple headquarters? Because it's a multiple headquarter company many times, and they're moving people back and forth, right? A corporation in Austin might have a plant in Nashville, right? And all of a sudden okay, well, we're going to get X amount of that going back and forth each year. That's one way. Another way is to sit down and say, okay, there are basically about 100 major cities in the United States. Candidly, it would be wise for you to have 5 or 10 relationships in each of those major cities. Now, and Dan said it, who are you looking for? You're looking for training, reciprocating, successful to a certain degree agent. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the criteria. You're looking for givers, and that because they're. What was it I think it was in the tipping point, and they talk about connectors. I think Gladwell talked about connectors in that. Where you make connections, right? I didn't even know about our speaker at Mega Camp. Gimp.
Zupan.
Yeah, thank you, Mark Zupan. Yeah. I didn't even know about my brain blank there. I didn't know about Mark till my trainer walks in and says, this guy works out at the same gym I work out. I've started training him, and oh, by the way, the lady that you and I get massages from is now giving him free massages, getting him ready for the Olympics. Here's a copy of his book. You need to read it. That's called connecting. Yes. Right? It's connectors. And so I think you're looking for individuals who naturally understand the world works that way. Yeah. Right? Because they're very open and looking for it. So you figure it out. There's about 100 major cities in the United States. Each state usually has, on average, 2 major cities. Texas is so big, you've got like 5. But most states only have usually 2, okay? Florida's bigger, California's bigger, but then again, other states, some small states only have 1, and it averages out to about that. So you figure that a really nice database like this, it is going to have 1,000 people in it, 10 times 100. Just a nice database would have that. Now the question is, how do you get started? One way is, every day go to the telephone, simply call into a market center if you want to, ask for the MCA, ask for a team leader, ask for anyone, right? And simply ask the question. Tell them who you're looking for and ask for that kind of person. Yeah. Ask the name. Say thank you very much. Get the name and say, well, do you have their email address? Or start with a mailing address if you have to. Email's great for, and there you go. Within a few months, you would actually have a database of 500 to 1,000 people who meet this profile that you would be doing it.
Yeah. Right. It's just being on purpose with
and they don't have to just be Keller Williams, because I can guarantee you, if I looked inside your database, it's got everybody in it, right? Yeah, it's not just the real estate industry. You would love to just do business intercompany, yes, but the realities are there are lots of great agents out there that are not with our firm that would be happy to send you a referral if you returned the favor. And I'd love to say, hey, let's just do it within the Keller Williams business family, but to be candid with you, it's unrealistic and short-sighted. That's just not good. That's not good business.
You're eliminating business.
Yes. Yeah, that's not good business for you. I don't think that. I wouldn't subscribe to that philosophy at all. By the way. which means you could call the Coldwell Banker, you could call the Remax, you could call Prudential, you could call the ERA, you could call the yabba yabba yabba, you could call the big independent, and you could do exactly the same thing.
Yes.
And say who. And it wouldn't be long. Next time I see you, you could easily have a database of 500 or more of really sharp people, and you would see those referrals start coming a lot faster than you can imagine. All right, Dan, if there were one piece of advice you would give us, what would that be?
I would recommend be education based and don't quit learning and get coaching and get accountability. I think coaching accountability for me has been I needed my batteries to be recharged, and hiring a coach and holding me accountable, not one who is there just as a consultant, but someone who's going to hold your feet to the fire. What's your homework this week? My homework is I've got to get 4 sales, I've got to get 4 price reductions, I've got to get 4 listing appointments, and I'm held accountable to each week to that.
Exactly.
And I think if people are on purpose on that, they'll reach their goals, whatever they're shooting for.
Very good. Thanks.